Welcome back. This is our last video of the Translation and Education series brought to you by the National Association of Educational Translators and Interpreters of Spoken Languages, or NAETISL. So this video is dedicated to our false friends, or some of the words that appear to be similar in English and your language of translation, but their meanings are actually quite different. So they have a common origin, but their definitions changed over time as they moved in different linguistic directions. So these terms are making headway because of their similarity in sound and in some cases the spelling. So here I'm showing you some examples in English and Spanish, which is what I'm familiar with. But I know that this is very common in many other languages where an English term is adopted by the community. One example that we can think of also is the term bullying, which is now part of the Spanish vocabulary in many communities. So in the education setting, translators may be tempted to use invented or new words as opposed to accepted equivalents in their language of translation. So we really must take the time to explore the terminology by visiting various online resources, such as school districts with a high number of the speakers that you're working with, for example, Spanish speakers in our case, to determine if a term actually does have an equivalent. The translator must be careful not to use anglicisms or words that are borrowed from English into another language, such as in the following examples. You see the words constipated in English and then constipado in Spanish. They sound the same, but they have completely different meanings. One means estreñido, or the other one means that you're congested as a sinus infection. So totally different meanings here. So it is imperative that professional translators in education doubt themselves and really dig deeper when they encounter a term that sounds too similar to that in another language. The translation job may take a little bit longer, but the results will show the professionalism and the quality of the translator. So in English, adverbs are very common, as well as the ing ending words that are often misused or overused in other languages. So for example, a phrase like the homework consisting of math problems may be translated as la tarea consistiendo de problemas de matemáticas, when it may be more appropriate to say que consiste en problemas de matemáticas. So as a reminder, in terms of grammar, it is recommended that the translator has the Real Academia de España dictionary handy, as it is an ever-changing resource that can help to determine if an anglicism has become accepted as part of our vocabulary. Other basic rules to remember include the use of capital letters. So in English, some nouns begin with a capital letter, such as the days of the week and the months of the year. In other languages, such as Spanish, they are written using lowercase letters. So oftentimes we find that in English, titles are written completely in capital letters, or that each word in the title begins with a capital letter. And in Spanish, it is common to only use the capital letter at the beginning of the title. In terms of abbreviations, which there are abundant in the school setting, it would be recommended to translate them only if an equivalent is well known in the opposite language. So for example, HIV and AIDS, or AIDS, have well-known equivalents as VIH, or SIDA as IDA in Spanish. So in other instances, it would be more useful for parents to leave the abbreviation as it is in English and provide an explanation in parentheses or as a footnote. So for example, PTA, or Parent Teacher Association, or IEP, Individualized Education Plan or Program, will help them become more familiarized with the terminology that is often used in the educational setting. So lastly, in all translations, and except when it's clearly stated otherwise by the owner or the author of the document, the audience should always be referred to using formal language. So to conclude this video series, we want to leave you with some of the best practices to support your work as translators in early childhood and also K-12 settings. So translations are great opportunities to share some English terminology with our multicultural families. So if at all possible, it is recommended that translations be provided to parents in a bilingual format, meaning that you have the translated version on one side and then the English on the other side. This does two things. So parents can choose the language that they prefer to read, because many of our parents can read in English, but also they can get information about some of the terminology that they will continue to hear throughout their child's life in school. So school district translations should create templates, or the translators should create templates of frequently used forms, for example. So let's say that you have a field form or a registration form. These are often used in many school districts or many schools in your school district. So these are forms that you can use over and over again with just a few changes. So it would be great to house these templates in an internal database for teachers and others to access when needed. So oftentimes, even in small school districts, one translator works on a document that someone else has already done before. So creating this bank of translated forms saves time and effort and really speeds the availability of information to families. So creating a bank of statements, not just words, but short phrases that you can use over and over, is a great idea as well. So for example, your school's mission and vision is a good example, because then you can consistently use the same vocabulary throughout your district. If you again save them in an internal database, all of the school personnel working on translations will have the same information. So do share the joy, and I repeat, share it with your school district and with others outside of your school district. Our clearinghouse of resources was created precisely because of that, by several of our students who wanted to build a tool for our community of school translators and interpreters. And we hope that you continue to contribute to that effort by sharing your own resources with us and others in your network. So lastly, continue learning. Translators read a lot, different types of text, books, newspapers, anything, and with all of your working languages. So from Spanish to English, from any other language to English, and back and forth. I have found that reading Spanish literature, not only not actually translated text, but actual literature written by Spanish authors, has helped me a lot in terms of becoming a better translator. I have a toolbox of vocabulary to choose from when I'm producing a text. So as many of my students have heard me say before, the more translations you do, the better interpreter you will become, as your vocabulary will expand, which will make interpretation more efficient and more accurate. So with this, we are concluding our translation in K-12 video series, and we hope that you have found this information helpful. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel, as we will be adding a whole lot more of useful information for interpreters and translators working in education settings. So I thank you for watching, and good luck.